Well, a celery celebration is in order because we have a new book and I'm so excited to share one of the activities out of it today. Here is the book. It's beautiful. It's called Food Anatomy Activities for Kids. You can find it on Amazon, and very soon you'll also be able to find it on our website. And this is a great book where kids learn about science and then eat their experiments. So I hope that you will join me right now to walk through one of these amazing experiments. So we are going to be making the preserved egg yolks with salt. And this is actually part of a lesson about foods that are salted. So in the book, kids will learn about the history of salt and the history of salted foods, and then they will go into the kitchen to make this recipe and learn a little bit more about it. So the fun science word that we're gonna learn today is osmosis. Can you say that? Osmosis. It's a big word, and this is what happens when we salt our food. So basically what happens is we're gonna put salt over foods, and foods have water in them, and salt dries food out. So we're gonna put salt on our food, and slowly over time, it's gonna slurp out the water, dry out the food, and replace the water with salt. This is osmosis. It's a really cool process, and we're gonna learn that by making salted eggs. So this is a recipe. Salting foods dates all the way back. The Egyptians were the first ones to do this. But salted eggs are a 5th century ancient recipe from China. So we're gonna learn all about that, and you can follow along with us. Hopefully you have a copy of the book, or you can find the lesson on our website at foodliteracycenter.org to follow along. So here we go. You're gonna need some kind of a Tupperware container that is flat so that we can begin. So I have a lot of salt right here, a big container of salt. And one thing that you will learn in this book is that our bodies need salt. It helps us to balance the moisture in our own bodies. We also have a lot of water in us, just like the foods that we eat. But it's also very important that we not have too much salt, because too much salt will create an imbalance in the moisture that we have in our bodies. And this is what can create high blood pressure. It hurts our hearts. So we've got to be very careful when we eat salt and just eat the right amount. So this, you're gonna think we're having a lot of salt, but it's just there to dry and create osmosis for these foods. So we're gonna take salt and we're gonna cover the bottom of our container. You're gonna use a lot of salt for this, but again, we're not eating all of this salt. So you're gonna cover the bottom of your container with salt. Now, the fun part, working with the eggs. So I've got my eggs here. We're gonna crack our eggs, and you may be able to find this little contraption. It is basically how you separate the egg yolk from the egg white. You can also do it in eggshell. I'll show you both methods. So basically we only want the yolks for this. So I'm gonna crack my egg. I'm gonna leave this little separator here, and I'm gonna separate. With this contraption, all you do is you set the, you just crack your egg right there into your container, and it separates it for you. So I'll show you this up close. It's a really cool contraption, and you can get these online. They're very cheap. So then you just wait for the white parts and drop those in, because I'm gonna use these later. You can use them to make an omelet for your lunch or something else. If you're preserving a whole bunch, you can use it for like an angel food cake. So we're gonna take one egg at a time. Now I need a spoon, and I'm gonna make a dent in my salt and that's where I'm gonna put my egg. So I'm just gonna kind of make a little dent. You can see that. And this is how that's where I'm gonna put my yolk. So the white has been separated. Now all I've got to do, and I'll do this in a direction that you can see really well, I'm just gonna bloop, drop it in there. So now it's going to get a friend. Oh, and he broke, and that's okay. That will happen, and I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later. That happens. So I'm gonna set this aside and show you how to separate the yolk and the white without this little contraption. So if you don't have that at home, that's totally okay, because there's another cool way you can do it just with the shell. So you're gonna crack your egg carefully, and as you break it, only take 1/2 away, and then you're gonna use this and you're gonna scoop back and forth and see how the white is falling out of my egg. And I'm gonna use this to sort of cut. Oh, he broke again. And you're gonna drop your other egg in there. These are some very delicate eggs. Normally they don't break this much, but it's totally okay if they do break, because they don't need to be pretty for this. So now we are going to, the hard part is over. We're gonna take our salty egg yolks and cover them with more salt. So we're just gonna cover them completely. And you want a nice amount of salt over them, because they need a lot of salt in order to preserve. So I'm basically just gonna take this, I'm gonna put a lid on it, and I'm gonna put this in my refrigerator for about a week. So I'm gonna put that inside my fridge, and through the magic of television, I'm gonna show you what happens over time. So now I have the egg yolks that I have had in my fridge for over a week. So you're gonna take the lid off that, and then you're gonna use your fingers, and I'm gonna actually put away, I don't need my whites anymore. I'm gonna save those for different use, so I can put these in my fridge as well. And I'm gonna find my buried egg yolks in here. As I kind of shake it, you can see them start to come. I'm gonna be very gentle, because they're not firm. They're gonna be kind of like a jelly. They'll be a little bit hard, but not firm, and they'll be like jelly. So I've got to be very careful, because I can smash them and dent them if I'm not very delicate. So here's one, and they're gonna be covered in salt. So I'm gonna take a tiny bowl of water, and I'm just gonna gently rinse that salt off. So I'm gonna drop it in, just sort of move it around, and then I'm gonna take a baking sheet with a tray. I use my toaster oven, but you could use a regular oven, because I'm not gonna make a ton of these. I'm gonna just make a few. So I use my toaster oven, and when you take this out of the water, again, being very gentle, you don't wanna squish it too much. I'm just gonna set this on the tray here. Hopefully I can show you without it rolling around too much. So, yeah, there you go. So it's kind of wet and shiny, and it's a little bit soft. You can kind of see my fingerprint in it. It's working, but it's much firmer. I could not pick up a yolk straight from the egg. That would not work. So you can tell that it's already beginning to dry, and it's already becoming firmer, because the water has been taken out by the salt through osmosis and replaced. So the inside of the egg is now salty, very salty. All right, so now we have 2, and those are just for the purposes of this. So I'm gonna, at home, you would have preheated your oven, and you're gonna use a really low setting, like 150 degrees, 100 degrees, and you're gonna put this in there, and you're gonna do that. It depends on your oven. It might take 30 minutes, it might take an hour, so you're just gonna you know, see, you'll be able to test with your finger as you go, and I'm actually going to show you when you take those out how you can tell. So when you take them out, they're going to be, let me put my water aside, they're going to be firm like this. They look like cheese now, right? So look, I can hold this. I can't dent it anymore. It's still a little bit, it's soft like a cheese, but it's hard. I can't break it now. I can squeeze it pretty hard, and yeah, it's like a sunny disc, and it's very, very salty. So I wouldn't just eat it like this. That would be too much salt for my body. And again, I want to be careful of my heart with how much salt that I eat. So I'm just gonna eat a little of this, and I'll show you how I'm going to eat it. Oh, and I promised to show you what happens to those broken eggs. So when you break the eggs, you know, you saw it all get all spilly and spill apart. Here's my little vessel of the broken pieces. So you can totally do the same and set those on your cooking tray. And they're just gonna take less time because they're thinner. They're gonna take less time in your toaster oven than the pieces, the big yolks, right? Because they're a lot thinner, so they'll dry out. And so you're putting those in the oven simply to remove any moisture that the salt didn't get, so that it's nice and firm. And this will preserve for months and months and months, probably even over a year. So you can have fun with these. And I'll show you a really cool way that we're gonna eat this. So let me get my cutting board. Hold, please. All right, so I'm gonna get my cutting board and move my eggs. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna enjoy my preserved egg yolks. I'm gonna take this beautiful loaf of brand new bread that I bought this morning. Oh, it's still warm. I bought this locally. I'm gonna cut right into the middle and get myself a really big slice. You hear that crunchy, crispy crust? Oh, I cannot wait to eat this. All right, look at that. It's an olive loaf. It's also gonna be a little bit salty, but not too salty. I love fresh bread. I'll show you an awesome way to eat our preserved egg yolks. So I got my slice of thick bread. This is gonna be my lunch. And then I'm gonna take a grater, set this aside. I'm gonna get this delicious ripe avocado. I actually bought this at a farm stand near Santa Barbara recently. Oh, look at that. That's a California avocado right there. So fresh, delicious. I'm gonna get some olive oil. This is really good for our hearts, especially as we're having some salt. We're gonna do something good for our hearts with a little olive oil, healthy fat. And then I'm gonna scoop out my avocado, basically having a fresh bread and avocado sandwich with that gorgeous egg. Let me show you. All right, so you're gonna take your beautiful egg yolk and you're gonna take a grater, a zester, sorry, and you are gonna zest, because it's hard now. I hope you can see this. Let me stand to the side and hopefully you can see how it just zests like cheese or like an orange rind. And I'm gonna cover my beautiful avocado with this salty goodness. It's gonna be a little bit like cheese, frankly, but with the flavor of egg yolk. So very, very salty, but also really delicious. So beautiful, sunshiny, zested, cured egg yolk on my avocado toast. Oh, so perfect. just the right amount of salt that will be good for my heart, because my body does need salt every day, but not too much. So I hope that you have enjoyed this activity, and I hope that you will enjoy the many activities in our book, Food Anatomy Activities for Kids. There are 20 science experiments just like this one, so that you can learn all about our food, where it comes from, its history, all the cultures around the globe where these foods come from. So thanks for joining me, and have a watermelon wonderful day.